Hey, Richie. Hey, Pete. How are you?
I'm very
Hi,
well.
Mel.
How are you,
Hi.
Mel?
Good,
Thank you for
good.
having this.
No problems at all. You are a smidge echoey too, actually. So you had some questions for me about my travels and what I've been doing. So let's kick off on some of them, and we'll try and do them in a few little segments so that we can answer some questions for some other people as well. Go for it. What do you want to know?
So the first question, I guess, is what were the thought patterns or series of events that led you to finally doing what you're doing, embarking on your journey, I guess?
Yeah, cool.
Was it a short-term thing? Was it a series?
Was there a last straw?
Yeah, cool. It depends on your definition of short term. I suppose that I've been working for myself for a long time, and that's really long hours and can be really stressful. And I've had a chain of annoying and legalistic events and stressful stuff and all of that goes along with that, just as general business. And sometimes you love it, and sometimes you go, what the heck am I doing? And that was kind of over a few years. I started to go, this is frustrating. I want the businesses to go well, and I love what I do, but business sometimes can be not so much fun all of the time. And so there was that lead up over a few years of going that, and because of a range of stressful events in those businesses, I was tired and burnt out. So from a physical perspective, I actually started to hit burnout a couple of times. And went, that's not great, and was trying to find ways to manage that. But then I did have a series of events that went over a few years. A friend of mine passed away, and not only was that important to me from a friendship and relationship point of view, and grieving that, the whole what am I doing with my life thing, when someone's very vibrant, healthy, wonderful life at 42 gets cut short by being hit on a motorbike. But also I got really involved with the grief of everybody around that. And I've always been someone who people come to talk to about things, and I've never purposefully done so. It's just always been that way. So when I got overwhelmed with all this grief from other people without having a chance to grieve myself, I got really tired and burnt out, and when I need to get a little bit of space from that. And then another year or so goes by, and my mum got diagnosed terminally ill. And so once again, brings all of those things into perspective, and then the sheer time thing of trying to run my own business and care for her and spend time with her and all of that sort of stuff. And I was going, but even before that, I started, just a month or two before she got diagnosed, I was going, I don't think I can do this anymore. I just don't think it's working. I then had a chain of circumstances that was financial, to do with banks and tax departments and all of that. And none of it was my fault. And this was probably the kicker / the final straw in a traditional lifestyle perspective, while the deaths were more an emotional thing, where I just went, I do everything right. Like, I don't cut corners on my tax. When I apply for a bank loan, I put every little detail of every little thing. I don't fudge, I don't cut corners. I do everything right. And yet banks and the government can change laws at whim and go, you know what, this is what's happening. And one of the events that I had happen was that I decided to simplify my life in this. I'm going through this evolution of, I still want to work for myself, but it's too complicated. I did have a couple of businesses. I had, 3 cars. I had, 5 houses, and I was juggling all these things as a single mother and going, I've just got to make it easier. So I started to sell off investment properties and go, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to scale it back. And then in one of the investment properties that I sold, I basically sold it at a loss. And I went to the bank and said, I'm going to pay off everything. I'm going to pay down every loan connected with that. And I was cross-securitized for my current loan, was using some lines of credit for my business. And we agreed to what would need to be paid down. And 3 days before settlement, they walked in and said, oh, we've made a boo-boo. We're happy to do all of that, but we need you to provide proof of income from last year, your tax return. And I said, well, I haven't got it at the moment. The accountant hasn't done it. And they said, well, but I'm happy to provide it. And they said, well, we need it by tomorrow. I said, it's not going to happen. So they shut down my loans. I've never missed a payment. I've never done anything. I was 2 years ahead on my loan repayments. And they shut down those loans, which meant I had no working capital for my business anymore. So it kind of forced my hand. And I now look back, and I'll get into it more later, but I now look back as that was the universe's way. I'm so determined. I was so business oriented and wanted to be successful. If it didn't get pulled away from me, I would have gone, no, never quit. It's the darkest before the dawn. I'm going to keep fighting this. And, all of those things that we get told. And I just went, you're kidding me. What am I going to do? And I was, at the time, my mum was ill, and I just went, well, I can't deal with it right now. I'm just going to have to figure this out later. I'm just going to concentrate on my mum, sort this out, and then figure it out. And then I went, you know what, I'm just going to go overseas and get my head straight and just de-stress for a couple of months and then figure out where I go from there. And so that's how the journey started, was I went, I'm just going to go for a while, sort my head out for a few months. I certainly had a view that I'd like to do it more long term, but how would I run my business while I did that? Maybe I can do this and this and this and continue on in a different structure. And then, then I just went, when I got over there, it kind of evolved from there. So that was how it had. And what I looked at is that as someone who's been a single parent entrepreneurial person, as opposed to someone who's been in paid employment where you get regular superannuation, is that I realised I had almost no superannuation. And I realised that if I went back to work and got a really good paying job where I put in super, I might have 300 grand if I was really lucky, probably more like 100 grand in super by the time I was due to retire. And that's not going to hold me over in my retirement. I'm not even sure if there's going to be a pension for me with my age at retirement. There's some discussion that'll be removed. And I went, I could work my guts out again and do 70-hour, 80-hour weeks all of the time, and I'm still going to get to retirement and not have enough to make a lifestyle that I want for myself. So why would I bother? And if I have a pension, if I did set up enough super and I did suddenly miraculously have $500,000 or $1 million in there that I would need, the government could change the rules to pay it out as an annuity for me. Or they could take it if the economy gets stuffed, or they could do all of these things that change the rules, just like they've done in the past. I've had tax rules change that affected me really badly, and they made it retrospective. So there's all of those things that they can do, and I was very aware that I'm out of control of that. I can't control that, and I can do everything right and still be screwed at retirement. So I may as well take the risk now and do what I want to do now. Well, I'm younger and healthier and want to see things and do things, and I'll figure out later. Because at the end of the day, even if we think we're figuring out later now, we're not, because anything can happen later. So I may as well figure that out.
Would you say it was a culmination of things, Mel, the way that the system is heading, plus everything that happened to you was a catalyst, that those two things were the primary catalyst to tip you over the edge to go,
yeah,
I need to get out. I'm not happy. This is not the definition of life. Now, I know a lot of the people that are viewing this are thinking, is the definition of life getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, going to work at 8 or 9 o'clock, coming home at 5 o'clock, having dinner, going to sleep, and repeat for 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 7 days a week, and then doing that for 40 to 50 years, and then basically being poor into their retirement.
Yes,
and the only qualification I'm saying that with is we come from a country, being Australia, that is probably one of the most fortunate countries in the world. But I think there's a lot of countries that are tipping that way, where most people are just, we've just changed or in the process of changing our pension from 65 to 70. So that's quite daunting for people, especially people that are in manual labour jobs, to be able to still be on the tools at 70 years of age. That's quite daunting. So that was a catalyst for you?
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it was a combination. And as I said, I think that especially the more that I've travelled, and I'll get more into the mindset of it later, the whole thing that I have learnt is that you get signs all the time of what is right and what is right for you. And I think we get so conditioned, and I was certainly conditioned in a good way, in a loving, kind way, to do the right thing, I went to university and I did all of the things that, I got married and I had a child and I did all of the things in the structures I was meant to do. And despite all of that, there were signs there that, things kept going wrong. I could make a business very successful, And then someone would rip me offline and it would go. And now I look back, I go, the universe was trying to tell me all this time, stop. You know, you're working ridiculous hours. You're stressing yourself. Your body's unhealthy in many ways, even despite I had a persona and I focus very heavily on my own health and fitness. I look back now and go, oh my God, I was exhausted. I would walk in the door, you know, and I'd say to my son, I remember when my son was only probably 7, 8 years old, I'd come home from work. I was working for other people then. Come home from work and I said, Dylan, I'm just so exhausted. I just need to sit for 5 minutes and then I'll get us dinner. And then this little voice would come through at about 8 or 9 o'clock and go, Mummy, because I'd fallen asleep on the couch. So as soon as I'd sat down, I'd just fallen asleep on the couch. He said, can we have some dinner now? I'm really hungry. I need to go to bed. And I, crap. And up I'd get, and, you know, I didn't realize that wasn't normal. I didn't realize that if I sat down and fell asleep, it's a running joke with my son and I that I've never seen a movie. He'd say, let's watch a movie. I think I tried something like 8 times to watch The Matrix. And I turned it on. Since I turned it on, I would just fall asleep. And that's exhaustion. Yeah. That's physical and emotional exhaustion.
You mentioned just before, and something that tweaked with me, you said that I didn't see and I didn't listen to the signs from the universe. And I think a lot of us get so busy on the treadmill of a work-life existence that we lack, we don't see the signs that the universe is trying to point us in a certain direction. I guess my question is, were you a believer in the power of the universe and the energy of the universe and what it can do prior to leaving? Or is this only something that you've adopted since you've been gone?
Yes and no. I kind of, you know, I watched The Secret when it first came out. I tell a lot of people about the scientific, what I see to be the scientific proof of that via your reticular activating system of what you bring into your world and what you attract. So I certainly have that. But I think that, and I've been involved in personal development a lot for its good and bad sides for a very long time. Since my ex-husband, when I was about 22, 23, used to sell personal development materials. So there's a difference though between the disconnect, and this is what I see now. I didn't think it then, is I was trying really hard. I was trying really hard to believe it, and I was trying really hard to make it happen. I didn't realize that I wasn't. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And I think the key thing is that, yes, I was trying to attract in what I felt I wanted in the world, and it wasn't happening for me, and I didn't understand why. And it was because I was listening to what society had brought me up to truly believe, and I truly believed it, what I wanted in the world, which is I wanted to have the security of the houses and the backup and the financial security. It wasn't, I didn't want raging wealth, but, you know, to have a nice, cool meal worth of clear assets behind me, I figured was my retirement. And, you know, I wanted that security. And I thought that's what I really wanted. And we're taught to look at that. So I couldn't, and I wasn't achieving that through my belief. And I did have a belief that I could attract that to me. What I now look at is that it didn't happen because it wasn't actually what was right for me. Now I'm living the opposite and I'm so happy. I go, thank God that didn't work out. And I do have a belief, and I've heard it many, many times in personal development courses, that the universe taps you. It kind of goes, you know, do this. And when you don't listen, it slaps you a bit. And, you know, and finally it hit me over the head with a brick bat, and to a point where I was beaten into the ground. There was, what other choice did I have? It's like, if you don't stop this, we will keep slamming you with something else until you stop and you don't have a choice. I didn't feel I had a choice and just went, I've got to do this. Go.
Is it fair to say that, the things that were happening here to you, you had no control over? As you say, you were doing all the right things, and the things that were happening to you, you were just getting buffeted from pillar to the post. As soon as you leave and start that new life, you're in total control. Well, maybe not total.
I'm not in any control.
But
I'm not in any control, and I'm still not in any control, and I wasn't in any control in the first place. The only difference in control now is I stopped enough to look at the signs, they were there before, but I didn't see them. Like what we tend to do in our busy lives when we don't look for those signs is that we go, in retrospect, you know, our marriage breaks up or our businesses go under and we go, thank God, now that I'm in this part of my life, I'm glad that happened because that set me here. And we do it in retrospect. The difference now is that, and I can give you some specifics, and I won't right now, but I might later on. Now I see something and go, got it, okay. Now I do it in the moment. Now I see the sign in the moment and go, understand what you're saying, that's where I go. And it can be as little as, tomorrow, I wonder whether I should look at going to Malaga or whether I should go down the other side of town in Rangarola. And, you know, I walk out the door and the first thing as I see is a sign, a physical street sign that says Malaga. And I go, okay, I'm going to Malaga tomorrow. And it's as basic as that. It's as basic as that. It's something, or a pop-up will happen on my screen saying, you know, I was just thinking, gee, I'd like to do something more fun and adventurous. And then there'll be a pop-up on the screen that says, come dancing, da-da-da. And I go, yeah, cool, that'd be great. Thank you. And I just acknowledge it in the moment and go, yeah, okay, that happened.
So Mel, you mentioned control and Peter mentioned control, and I've been reading a fair bit about the law of the universe, the law of attraction, the universe, manifestation, synchronicity, and things like that. And I read a quote the other day, and I actually wrote it down, and I've got it here. And it says, your need to control the outcome stems from your lack of faith in the universe.
Yes.
Being 18 months down the track, would you agree with that? So it's not about controlling the situation, it's about giving in to the universe and allowing that to guide you and listening to the signs.
Absolutely, 100%. And I would also add to that, and lack of trust in yourself. A lack of, what was a lack of trust in myself. And I'm a confident person. But now I would say having faith in the universe and faith in myself to do whatever it puts in front of me to do. So, yeah, that's the thing on that, is actually having faith that with whatever gets put in front of me, I know I can handle it. And because I've been in so many situations now, I know I can handle it. And that's a great place to be for my own self point of view.
Just taking one step back, when you decided to go, it didn't seem to me that it was you were running away from what you said. It sounded like, I'll try overseas or something. You were, and you also mentioned your mum was sick. I mean, how much did that, you know, did that make you half think, should I stay, should I go?
Yeah.
Is there any being torn?
Oh, I actually, I'll send you one day some photos of the day that I had to say goodbye to my mum, you know, and I posted about it because I have a little Facebook group that I post into, and I've been posting about this before I left. And it was actually originally called the Menopausal Madness Runaway Group, because there was a group of us we're going through this menopausal phase, whether it's hormonal, and we're frustrated with our life. We don't know what we want to do. We just know the hell that this isn't right for us. And so it was a feeling of runaway. There was a feeling of, I don't know what to do. I'm frustrated. I'm hitting brick walls, and buggered, I'm just going to rack off. I didn't think necessarily long term. So in that sense, it was like, you know, it was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm out of here. I've got to go. I just got to leave it and go and figure it out. You know, I just can't. I'm exhausted and I'm frustrated and I'm hormonal and I just, oh my God. As to leaving my mum.
But it needed to.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry, just say it obviously needed to be far enough away. Couldn't just be, I'll go down to Sydney for a week or, you know, wherever.
Because a few years earlier, from a physical exhaustion, adrenal burnout, only 18 months earlier, I think it was, I'd done that. I did 3 weeks away, and keeping in mind that I was running a fitness centre at the time, and I took most of the sessions, and I was the only person running it. I had a couple of trainers on contract that were doing some PT sessions. And I realised I got to that point of complete burnout. I don't know if any of you experienced that, where I'm someone who can multitask, and people say you can't, and I can tell you that you can. And I've done it since childhood. And I'm a very quick decision maker. I can go bang, 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 this is what I'm going to do. And I can make a decision to buy a house in minutes. I just go, yes, that works, bang, bang, phone, organise, yep, we're going to do this, we're going to go. I was sitting at my desk and I'd go, you know what, I I'd need to work out a plan. I'd just go and get some food, and I'd go to the fridge and then go, why am I at the fridge? I can't remember what I came here for. So I'd go and sit back down and go, oh, that's right, I was working on my plan. So I'd start to write, I'd get one thing in and go, I don't know what to do in the next session. I'll just go and get some food. And I'd get back up to the fridge. And then I realised that I'd spent a week walking around in circles, accomplishing nothing, not actually knowing and every time I got somewhere, I couldn't make a decision on anything. So then I went, okay, I need to go on a holiday. I need a break. I need a holiday. And once again, I'm normally just this is where I'm going, on a holiday, book it, get it done. I went, you know what, I might actually go on a long holiday. Let's look up, I might go to Italy. I always said to Ritch to go to Italy. I'll look up a holiday. So I got online and I went, Italy. Which city in Italy? Oh, well, if I go into Rome, I could do that. Oh, there's flights into Naples. This is all too hard. I'll go back and work for a bit. And then after a week and not having even figured out where I wanted to go in Italy, I went, that's not working. I can't even think straight to organise a getaway. And so I said to the guys that I work with, I've got to go. I'm not functioning. I can't do anything. So I'm going to have to shut down the gym for a few weeks. And luckily I had some clients who were PTs and my PT, and they said, we'll cover you. We'll do this session. We'll do this session. We'll just open for the sessions. I talked to my PT clients and said, I'm not functioning. I just need a few weeks off. They said, where are you going? I said, I have no idea. So I hopped in my car and drove, and I just drove north. I just drove north. And then when I got tired, I pulled over and found a hotel and slept there, and then hopped in my car and went, oh, it's nice here. I'll stay a day or two. And then I just drove north again and did that for 3 weeks, and came back feeling really refreshed. And within a month or two felt the same way, and that didn't work. So it was the same feeling of this physical adrenal burnouts, actual burnouts from a physical sense point of view, that went, I've got to do that again. And I don't know how long it's going to, I've got to do it this time until I can actually figure out what I thought was a direction. So I actually go, what do I want to do? Let's start another business. Let's do something in a way that I want. I just need space to clear my head to do that. And so, yes, yeah, go on. Yeah.
So you were saying, you've said that a couple of times about being physical. So was it 100% physical burnout? There must have been emotional. There had to be emotional.
I think emotional and
psychological
are connected. I think they're completely connected. So I was physically exhausted, but I was running too much cortisol and adrenaline all of the time because I'd gone. I think part of it too, and I talk about this with my nutrition clients. I have a lot of clients who are middle-aged, and I think for women in particular, more so than men, it happens to men too, but more so for men, we have this perfect storm of timing. We have this massive hormonal change between 40 and 55 somewhere of our menopausal status. We have adrenal fatigue. You know, if we've been raising children for 20 odd years and suddenly we're empty nesting. So we've gone from this, you know, from my days structured from I'd get up at 4:30 and 5 in the morning, and I would sit down when my son was older. He would dance until 8:30 or 9. We would get home at 9:30 at night, and I'd be back up at 4 the next morning. And all I'd do is walk in, prepare for the next day, fall asleep, get up and go. And I would do that 6 days a week. I had no one else to help me with that. And so I'm working full time and more. I'm doing 40 to 70, 80 hours a week. I'm raising a child. And all of a sudden, we move to another country to study. And I'm in silence. And so I'm dealing with the emotional thing of that, the overexertion. My adrenals are still running at that pace. My adrenals are still pumping out stuff to keep me going. I've also then got that my strength just died because I suddenly, in your 40s and 50s, you drop testosterone. And so suddenly my physical ability, my physical strength went down, which was important to me because I was a trainer. I started to struggle with that. I was exhausted. So 20, 30 years of exhaustion. And then on top of that, we have a cumulative effect. Women are chronically bad at trying to do everything to stay skinny. So we've had 20 years of bad dieting on every fad that we think is wonderful for our bodies. And that catches up. You can handle that. You can handle anything in your 20s, but when you're in your 40s and 50s, suddenly your body just goes woofer. And all of that, when I say physical, I mean my brain and my mental health as well, because it's pumping all of those hormones through my brain. It's affecting my emotions. You know, all of that is all tied in. And I firmly believe that gut health and gut bacteria affects your brain and your mental health And so, you know, suddenly I'm eating more on the run, and I'm eating the wrong foods for me, and everything's out of whack. Everything's out of whack in my body, and that affects my mental health as well. So I see them as integrally inclined. And what I say is that the reason I use the word physical is that it wasn't just, and that downplays it because it's really important, but it wasn't just that I was tired and exhausted in my brain. There was this physical thing, that it was everything at the same time for years, or not just quickly.
Well, just to finish up this last question before we move on to the next one, and we take a bit of a break. I've just got a bit of a statement, and I just wanted to know, with the benefit of hindsight now, whether you agree with it. Would you say that you were basically brainwashed by an industrial age mentality and what society dictated was right for us? Like being brought up, you have to own your own home, you have to go get a job, you have to get a career, you have to have kids, you've got to do, where it's really not the right box to tick for everyone. There's no set box for everyone. Everyone's individual, and we all brought up and we're all raised, especially in Australia, to believe that you want to own your own block of land. And after 25 years and paying the banks back triple of what you've paid, and you become a slave to your mortgage, and we all know what that's like, you become trapped in what society dictates is right for you rather than doing what's right for you mentally. So with the benefit of hindsight, being on the journey that you've been on, would you agree that that's where you were trapped and you have now basically stepped out of that and escaped it?
Yeah, being a really, really chatty person and going into huge amounts of detail as I normally do, my very complex answer to that in its entirety is yes.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Is that as strong enough for you?
Yeah. That's it. I'm glad I framed the question that you give me a one-word answer.
All right. So just on that bit of topic, does that answer your questions on that? And then we might address some others.
Right.
Another time.
Yep.
That cool?
Yep.
Cool. All right. I'm just going to hit stop on that. Thank you very much.